This is KATU News at 11 on your side.
The healing continues for Columbia County community mourning the death of 18-year-old Sarah Zuber. Hundreds came out to Rainier City Park tonight for a vigil, and Sarah was found dead a week ago today off of Dirt Road. And the mystery surrounding her death remains tonight. KATU's Catherine Kissel has the latest tonight from Rainier.
We just heard from Columbia County deputies, and while this case is a priority for them, they say that there is no new information tonight. Family and friends say that they trust in their faith that they will get answers soon.
She was always wanting to do something fun and outdoorsy and just had a very free spirit.
Colby still can't believe his best friend is gone.
You don't really expect anything like this, you know, when you hear the call that it happened, and there's probably numb is the best way to describe it.
Sarah Zuber's body was found last week off Near City Road in Rainier. Columbia County deputies say they're investigating her death, but no information has been released.
When things like this happen, we lean on our faith, and we have to trust in the Lord that the Lord will give us the answers that we need.
While family and friends wait for answers, Colby says for now, not knowing may be a blessing.
There's always that, what happened, who did it, why, but for me, trying to not know or think about it is probably a way to cope, and yeah, but always remember her for sure.
The family tells me that they are having a memorial service for Sarah in the coming week. In Rainier, Catherine Kissel, KATU News.
Well, some developing news tonight. Evacuations will remain in place overnight in Cowlitz County after a brush fire. Officials ordered the evacuations for Walker Road and all connecting roads in Kelso. The fire has burned about 30 to 40 acres. They say it has slowed down, but the evacuations are just a precaution. About 100 homes are threatened. A shelter was set up at Kalama High School, but no one showed up. This is one of 4 wildfires in the area. Meanwhile, all evacuation orders have been lifted southeast of Salem. The fire burning near North Santiam State Recreational Area is 80% contained tonight. It sparked yesterday afternoon, and it's burning on both private timberland and public land between the Santiam River and Highway 22. The park remains closed tonight, but officials say no structures were lost. The cause is still under investigation.
Several counties are responding to all these fires with burn bans. That includes Marion, Clackamas, and Lynn counties in Oregon, and Cowlitz and Wahkiakum in Washington. That means no brush pile burns and no campfires until further notice. The Oregon Fire Marshal is reminding you to take precautions now to protect your home from wildfires. Keep roofs and gutters clear of any leaves, pine needles, and other debris. Remove the dead plants a minimum of 30 feet around your house. Prune trees and keep grass short and green. That keeps fire on the ground and more manageable. And remember, call before you burn yard debris.
To Storm Tracker weather now. Mary Loaf's in for Dave tonight, and it's been breezy and warm. It's about to change, though, isn't it, Mary?
It is definitely, and today we actually hit the warmest day of the year so far in PDX, and we are talking about 72 degrees. It was a record for Portland today. Our average first 70-degree day in Portland, which we did reach yesterday, is usually at the end of the month. Our first 70-degree day last year was not until April, and we skipped over the 70s and went right for the 80s back in 2017, back on May the 3rd. Meanwhile, we are still very mild this evening, 57 degrees, still have a bit of an east-southeast wind, fairly strong, should be continuing to calm overnight. And those changes that are in the forecast, they look like this for your headlines. Today was our last unseasonably warm day. We could see a shower tomorrow, but more definitely on Friday. And we are talking about typical spring break weather coming our way. I'll look into more of that in your forecast a few minutes from now. Back to you.
We'll see you very soon. Thank you, Mary. New at 11 tonight, New Zealand's Prime Minister promised a swift and sweeping response to last Friday's mass shootings, and tonight she delivered. Jacinda Ardern just announced the country is banning every weapon used in that massacre. That means military-style, semi-automatic weapons, assault rifles, and more will soon be illegal to own.
Today I'm announcing that New Zealand will ban all military-style semi-automatic weapons. We will also ban all assault rifles. We will ban all high-capacity magazines.
The Prime Minister says she hopes the new gun ban will be in place by April 11th. People who own the outlawed weapons are being encouraged to turn them in for cash.
Friends, family, and fellow law enforcement officers are remembering a deputy killed in the line of duty. Deputy Ryan Thomas of Kittitas County was shot dead last night after exchanging gunfire with a driver he'd pulled over for road rage. That driver was killed as well. Today, a large crowd gathered to honor both Thompson, the deputy, and Officer Benito Chavez, who was also wounded but survived. Deputy Thompson leaves behind a wife and 3 children. The other responding officer is recovering from surgery tonight. Officer Chavez was flown to Harborview Medical Center in Seattle after the shooting. The hospital says he's in satisfactory condition and he's doing better than originally expected, which is good news for both him and his wife, who's expecting the couple's first child.
Closing arguments are set to resume tomorrow in a sex abuse trial with 2 high-profile defendants. Charles McGee and Aubrey Dixon are accused of sexually assaulting a woman back in 2012. McGee is the former CEO of the Black Parent Initiative, while Dixon is the former chair of Oregon's Housing Stability Council. Their accuser says the attack happened after they had drinks together, then went to McGee's place.
My body went into survival mode, and I just didn't want them to hurt me, and so I was afraid if I fought back that they would hurt me.
Attorneys for McGee and Dixon say the accuser's story has changed over time.
A fire that's been burning for days in Deer Park, Texas is finally out, but not without a final bit of drama. Shortly after firefighters extinguished the flames at the petrochemical plant, they flared back up, and this time firefighters quickly gained the upper hand. The fire started Sunday in one storage tanker and spread to several others. No word still on the cause.
Floodwaters are starting to recede in parts of the Midwest, but the danger there is not over. Nebraska is the hardest hit state with 74 cities underwater now. But Kansas, Missouri, South Dakota, and Wisconsin are also bailing out. And as the water flows downstream, cities farther south along the Mississippi are likely to flood too.
Well, the 1980 eruption of Mount St. Helens was a wake-up call for the Northwest. We remember that. Scientists say another eruption, perhaps from a different volcano, will eventually happen again, and other mountains are currently under-monitored. KATU's Lincoln Graves is live with news of a new warning system to protect us. Lincoln?
Well, Deb, we all love Cascade Mountains like Mount Hood and Mount Rainier, but they are potentially destructive volcanoes. So tomorrow, officials will announce a new warning system for all Northwest volcanoes designed to make sure that people who live in places like Seattle and here in Portland have time to prepare for eruptions. When Mount St. Helens blew in 1980, there were warnings. Frequent earthquakes began 2 months before the eruption. But other volcanoes have surprised the world.
There have been a number of eruptions that have occurred with as little as a week or a few days, or in some cases a few hours of warning.
Japan's Mount Antake erupted in 2014 with nearly no warning, killing more than 60 hikers. U.S. officials want to avoid a similar surprise.
It is so important for us to have the right science and monitoring of these volcanoes.
Washington Senator Maria Cantwell helped push for new legislation to improve Northwest volcano warnings.
To give the latest and best tools to our scientists so they can give us the best important information for the future.
Making other mountains as well monitored as St. Helens, which has dozens of instruments keeping watch.
Other volcanoes aren't quite up there, so Mount Rainier's got about half that. Mount Hood's a little bit further behind.
Now, Senator Cantwell will be at the Cascades Volcano Observatory in Vancouver tomorrow to make this announcement. She'll be joined by scientists and emergency management officials from Oregon and Washington. Live in Southeast Portland, Lincoln Graves, KATU News.
Okay, Lincoln, thank you. Cascades Volcano Observatory classifies each volcano in the Northwest according to their threat level. These volcanoes are currently labeled very high threat. Mount St. Helens, Rainier, Baker, and Glacier Peak in Washington. Mount Hood, Crater Lake, Three Sisters, and Newberry Volcano in Oregon. Mount Adams is considered a high threat, and Mount Bachelor is considered a moderate threat. Threat levels don't indicate whether eruptions are imminent. Instead, they account for risk to people if an eruption were to happen.
I want to give you a live look now at the U.S. Capitol tonight. That's where officials from the NTSB, FAA, and the Department of Transportation are set to speak next week. The Senate is holding a hearing on air travel safety, and they'll highlight concerns over recent accidents, including the grounding of the Boeing 737 MAX aircraft. It comes in the wake of 2 deadly crashes involving the jets just months apart. Another hearing that would include Boeing is also planned.
Meanwhile, the Justice Department is issuing subpoenas in its probe into Boeing 737 MAX airliners. CNN reports a criminal investigation started with the October crash of a Lion Air flight in Indonesia. Investigators want information on safety and certification procedures, including training manuals for pilots, and they're also looking into how Boeing marketed the new aircraft. It isn't yet clear what criminal laws could be at issue.
Today was the first day of spring, and that might leave you dreaming of spring break. The busy travel crunch starts tomorrow at PDX. The airport expects to see the most travelers tomorrow and Friday, as well as April 1st. Some 57,000 people each day, in fact. That's about 6,000 more than average for this time of year. PDX set an all-time passenger record last year and is on track for another record in 2019.
Well, are you the nation's newest multimillionaire? Spoiler alert, probably not. Tonight's Powerball jackpot drawing for a $550 million prize went to no one, so that means the big prize rolls over once again. Saturday's drawing is now worth an estimated $625 million. No one has won the Powerball jackpot since December 26th.
Just minutes away tonight, talk about a tough day in the job. A recycling guy knocked back by an explosion. The search for what caused that.
And a community dealing with a poisonous plague, why so many of these toxic toads are now hopping around.
And so long, Safeco. Hello, T-Mobile Park. Still ahead tonight, a sneak peek inside the Mariners' newly revamped stadium. And the Blazers host a legend, possibly for the last time. Those stories in just 2 minutes.